team.
Hey there, this is Malorian, this is the Tactile team, and what we're going to be talking about today is back to Lizardmen again, and now we're going to be talking about the special characters. So last Tactile team, we talked about pretty much everything else in the book, but I always like leaving the special characters till later. So we're going to jump to them now, and there's some interesting stuff here, and there's some stuff that's just garbage, you're never going to use it. So let's start with Croc. Now, he's the special character that's the source old blood, basically on a Carnosaur. And if you look through him, he has some interesting things. His Carnosaur is slightly better than a regular Carnosaur. What part is it? It has one more attack. So, there's something at least, right? He is going to be having Swift Stride, so it automatically comes with that upgrade, which is a pretty good upgrade to take if you're going to be taking the Carnosaur. It's going to have this attuned one, so if you ever lose the rider, then he automatically gets the Frenzy, which is, okay, well, it's good you won't get the stupid guard the body one. He has his little hand magic, which is a bound 3, which just does the Shem's Burning Gaze, which is, you know, it's all right, it's something. Then he has the Revered Spear, and what this one does here is that for every wound he does counts as 2, and he also gets +1 strength in a charge because, hey, it's a spear. Now, the thing about Croc is a couple of things. First of all, in the past, he's always allowed you to take some Cold One Riders as core, and that's been the really good thing about him. He's always been overcosted, but because he lets you change the composition of your army, it actually makes, you know, Source Cav worthwhile, basically, because they're moving to core, especially in the old books where they were worse. That was the main reason why you would take him. But now, he doesn't have that rule, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty weak. And so one of the things I always do is that after when I look at these special characters, I take the time to try and see if I was going to build my own regular character, putting in as much as I can to make it exactly the same, how many points would it be? You know, just to see if they're overcosted or undercosted. Because, hey, if you had a special character where he's an old blood, but he has stupidity and -1 wound and all this garbage, but he was like 10 points, well, yeah, he's awesome. The problem with Croc is that when you all add it all up, he's just overcosted. He's just not worth it. You know, go and take your regular old blood, give him good stuff, put him on a Carnosaur, go from there. So, first special character down, he's just not worth it. Not much more to say about that. Okay, Lord Croak. Now, he finally is interesting. Before, he was, you know, tons of points. In the last book, just wasn't really worth it because just, you know, his little pulse spell just isn't really worth it when you got these big hordes. Now, in this book here, now, he still has the pulse, but all of a sudden, I think he's actually going to be a valid choice. Just kind of jump ahead here. Now, what he has, he's a level 4, but he only knows one spell. And this one spell is this Deliverance of Itza. You can do at different levels. And basically, it's going to be, you know, Strength 4. If it's against demons, it's going to be doing 3d6 hits rather than the 2d6 hits against everything else. And you can do it at higher in casting levels so that it's going out further range. Basically, the casting level is the range unless it's the first one where it's then a casting of 10 to make it 12. Now, the nice thing I see about this is that I don't believe you could do this in the last book, but now that you can cast this through other skinks, you take the skink, you make him the flying one, flying behind the lines, and this pulse, going for the 10+1, obviously a level 4, so you only need 6s. Now I'll just be, you know, double dicing this. Just bam, 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 as much as you can. And really, all these pulses in the middle of their army is really going to start breaking them down. Now, the other thing that's nice about this, too, is in the last book, if you ever had a miscast, well, if you got the one where you forgot spells, he was useless because you forget your one spell and off you go. Now, he has a rule that protects him against that because not only does he have a special little miscast that, like, oh, it takes like a strength 6 hit or something, but the other thing is that you can never lose that spell. You can't trade it, you can't forget it, but if people use items that destroy it, it just comes right back. So that's really nice to have, this guaranteed spell that nobody can destroy, and you don't have to worry about losing. So that's really good. He is unbreakable, but hey, at cold-blooded leadership 9, that usually isn't an issue anyway. He also has the, well, makes his unit of Temple Guard unbreakable, but again, not that usually big of a deal, and they're usually stubborn leadership 9. He also has it so he can never be reduced level lower than a level 1. So again, guaranteed to be always a wizard. He has a 3+ ward save rather than a regular. That's again more minor because he should never be being attacked. Another really nice thing though is his golden mask makes it so his unit is -1 to hit for shooting and for combat. If I'm correct, the last book was just against shooting. So this really makes it so that you give your unit the mark of Nurgle. So man, you put this guy in your unit Temple Guard, and it can be pretty damn awesome, right? If you're looking for like the Death Star unit, you put this guy inside your unit of like a Horde of Temple Guard. You have your Scarvet BSB that has a Skaven Pelt to give them Frenzy as well, and these guys are going to kick some serious butt. But yeah, overall, when you add everything together, he's not that many more points than a regular Slann. And so given these abilities, I can definitely see the reason for taking him. You really need to have the Skink Priest to be able to get out there to make these pulses, because you don't want to be going for the high casting value. You want to be able to do multiples of the small one, because hey, you can throw all your dice at the big 24-inch one, but they're just going to scroll it or something like that, right? So you'll just get nothing done. Whereas you do lots of small pulses, hey, maybe you can stop 1, you'll get 2 to 3 off, and you can actually do a lot of damage, especially if you're up against something that's a little bit weaker, like the elf armies. Yeah, this could be actually really good. So Croak, I can see him as being worthwhile. Now, let's get to my favorite guy, Mazdamundi, the Slann on the Stegodon. And I didn't read his new fluff, but he's basically like the Lizardman Hitler. He's like, yeah, the old ones, we're not going to wait for him. The real thing to do is just kill everybody else. And I just love the fluff idea of him, the whole, real idea as well that he's a Slann on a Stegodon. So I've always loved him. But let's go through what he does now. Now, what he is going to be is a level 4 from the high magic, or you can pick one of the other ones as well. He does have some of your disciplines already. He is going to have the Becoming Cognition, the Harmonic Convergence, Soulstone, and Transcendent Healing. And that last one's pretty nice when you're out on a Stegodon. Another thing to talk about there is that now, for those who haven't realized, the Howder rule is gone. So if you're riding it, you don't get a save. But then again, if you're up there, you can't be targeted unless it's with shooting and you're breaking things up. So, I mean, normally when you're up against, let's say, a regular Stegodon, you can't hit those things. If you're a regular Stegodon now with a character on top, all of a sudden you can target them, but they're not getting the super armor save. They're getting 1 for mounted. It's just with the shooting, then you break it up where normally you wouldn't. So this is bad for him because he doesn't like being attacked. Before, when Zlag gave him like a 2+ save up there, a 2+ Slann is pretty awesome. A Slann that's just a 6+ armor, all of a sudden you're having to really depend on that 4+ shield. And I mean, at least he has 5 wounds, but this is where that healing really helps. And you'll probably go in for the Laurel Life to be healing himself, the Stegodon, and other stuff too. Going down here as well, he is going to be a Lore Master for whatever one he picks, so that's pretty awesome. He is going to be stubborn, so that's always nice to have. He has his Cobra Mace, which, it's always funny when this goes off. Basically, your Slann, it's always strike first with his 1 attack. It's going to be strength 5, and then if you hit something with a magical anything on a roll of you roll a d6, and on a 6, it's destroyed. So sometimes this comes up. For the most part, this is just something really silly. He finally has a standard that does something. The last game, it just was a name, nothing else. And what this is going to do is that you get to use it, and all your units within 12 are -1 to hit from shooting. So not bad, not good, but it's at least it's something. It's better than before. Now, that's all pretty simple. Probably what you'll be using this guy for is either if you just love the idea for him, or if you're going for the super monster mash, right? If you want to have lots of Stegodons and monsters and stuff, well, a Slann on a Stegodon is probably going to be part of that. Now, the problem is that when you add it all up, I would say sure, the points are kind of correct. The problem is that he's 780 points. And if he was just 30 points less, then he could fit into a 3,000 point army. But because he is 780, he now has to be in a larger than 3,000 point list. And this means that you're never going to use the guy. And this is getting back to how it was a couple of books ago where, Croak was 1,200 points. And I mean, you're only going to use them in massive games. And so at that point, what's the use, right? I mean, it's only the once or twice a year that I do the mega battles that, okay, then if I do Lizardmen and I want to take a wonky character, then I can use them. So one of these guys where, sure, the points are kind of right, but yeah, not worth it because you can never use it. All right. Gorok. Finally got a model for this guy, and he's not that bad. One of the nicest things he's going to have, he gives you stubborn. So if you want to be putting in the stubborn crown and other stuff like this is a guy that's built with it. He's also basically a Scarvet that comes with toughness 6. So again, you could build this with taking the Stegodon helm and the crown of command, but this is, again, it's here, and it's another option if you have 2 units of Saurus. He is going to be making it so if you ever get hit with Killing Blow or something like that, on a 2+, you only suffer 1 wound. So, that's nice. If you ever get hit with like some other magic weapon or something that does D3 wounds on a 2+, only do 1. He has his Mace, and what this one does is that he'll get to re-roll his 2 hits, which is pretty good. And his Predatory Fighter is on a 5 or a 6. So that can be okay. His shield is also kind of interesting, where it basically is, first of all, it's like an enchanted shield. It makes him 2 better for his armor. So it's going to give him a 2+ armor overall. And then whoever charges him and is then in base contact, they have to take a dangerous terrain at -1. So that can be kind of nice to kind of add like a little bit of damage beforehand. I'm trying to see at what point you actually do this. Yes, in the movement phase. It's not even part of your combat res. And one of the things is when you add this guy up, the points are about right. And at the same time, like I said, you can build a guy that's like this. But what this really allows you to do is, I mean, you can't do the whole thing where you have the protection against the multiple wounds or the extra, the dangerous terrain stuff. So it is kind of nice to get those extra things in there. You get the re-rolls, the hit. That's a little bit extra. You can't make that. So I think overall, if you want to take the guy, there's nothing against it. The fact that he only has 2 wounds does bother me. But hey, he's toughness 6, a 2+ save. That's pretty damn resilient. And again, like I say, if you want to run 2 blocks that are going to be stubborn, well, you're going to take this guy and your other guy that's going to be built with the stubborn crown. So definitely a guy I can see being worthwhile taking. Then we get into Chikax, and this guy, okay, he's kind of like before, and again, he has some of the things where, okay, well, it makes his Temple Guard unbreakable. In a challenge, he'll get to re-roll the hit. He has his Starstone Mace, where it'll make it so that it's basically a great weapon. Sorry, but the magic part, like the +2 strength, is based off just the magic weapon, and then it's also given always strike last. So, I mean, the thing there is if somebody destroys his magic weapon, then he's not striking last anymore, but then it's not getting the +2. It just turns to a hand weapon, basically, as opposed to being a magical great weapon. Very small corner case rule. It also is a thing where if you hit magic items on a 5+, you can destroy one of them. All right. He has his helm so that anything within 20 inches, you can see if there's fanatics or assassins. That can be useful, but again, very corner case. Normally, you can kind of assume where you see the models there if they're not being sneaky. Then he has like the key to the Eternity Chamber, and what this does is, while fighting a challenge, only in the challenge, he has a 5+ ward and always strikes. His opponent has an always strike last rule. Now, the thing about this guy is, whereas Gorok is, man, I guess I shouldn't be saying the points for everything, but whereas Gorok the easy thing to say here is that Tic-Tac is like 100 points more than Croc. So when you go through and try to figure out what the points should be, this guy is just nowhere even near what it should be. I don't know why his points are so damn high. I don't know what I'm missing, whether it makes his Temple Guard have, like, if he also gave the Temple Guard like hatred or something like synergistic like that, sure, okay. But he is this Guardian that is just only gets a lot of his bonuses in challenges, and even if he got those bonuses all the time, he's still not worth it. So Tic-Tac, don't even bother with him. Then we have the whole Skink Priest guy, 201. Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce this one. It's basically the red Crescent Skink. They've now made him a level 3, so that's kind of cool. He has Hatred versus Skaven. He actually has a 5+ scaly skin, even though he's a skink. We have a... And we're back. So it's like, yeah, Halloween. Anyway, he also has little things where if he's with this unit of snakes. So kind of weird that you ever be playing with the jungle swarms anyway. But if you do that, then all of a sudden he gains the unbreakable and all that fun stuff. And it's like, you know, I don't know why. He's a squishy little skink, so I don't know why you'd put him in this front unit. It's more of a fluff thing. So that rule you can basically just ignore because you'd never do it. The other thing here is that he is a prophet, so you can pay, basically if you're a skink model, you can be paying 1 point per model to upgrade them to have Hatred Skaven. It's one of these things you're never going to do. It's kind of like, again, for a fluff game you can do, but meh. Titus Serpents, he always has like snakes around him, so he gets extra D6 strength 1 hits. Or sorry, strength 2. And then he has his Blade of the Serpent's Tongue. And this one, it's a little weapon, gives him +1 strength when he charges. And he has poison attacks. And otherwise, he has a 5+ war. So basically, you're only going to take this guy if you're going for a skink-themed army and want a level 3. And when you do up his points, he's just too many points. He's basically, they have him pointed out as if he was like a Lord Skink. So, hey, he has 3 wounds and all this stuff. But you know what? Overall, it just isn't worth all the points you're paying for him. Just go and take a level 2, make it cool. And yeah, I mean, this guy is basically set up so it's like, hey, if you want a level 3 and have extra stuff up there in the you know, fighting in the front, it's just not worth to take him. The next one here is Teto Iku, and this is the whole like skink slan type guy where he's sitting on the throne. You actually finally have a model for the guy now. He's a level 2. He uses heavens, but he has a lore master heavens, so that's pretty awesome. He has the Herald of the Cosmic Event. So basically you roll a d6 at the start of every magic phase. On a 1, all the friendly casting spells may re-roll their power dice that roll, you know, a 6. So that's bad. You don't want to be rolling your own 6s. But on a 2 to 6, you're re-rolling all your 1s. And that's really good for a combination. For every say let's say you're running a slan that's going to try and 2 dice everything. That's going to really help. Or if you're going for a whole bunch of other little skinks just trying to like to 2 dice the beast spell. You know, either way, even if you're not, right, re-rolling 1s just makes your stuff better. So very powerful. Of course, you have the one crappy turn, you re-roll a 1, and you're re-rolling your 6s, but the majority of the time, it's going to be really good. The big one here, though, that's pretty damn awesome is, well, first of all, he's kind of safe because he goes back to the 2nd rank, just like a slan. Sorry, I have a dog over now, and it's going crazy. The really cool thing is before, it let you basically redeploy units. Now, D3 units get Vanguard. And that's a very big tactical difference because what it really means is, hey, if I want to go and I'm going Saurus heavy and I'm going to go, you know, aggressive in your face, well, I'm probably only going to be taking 2 to 3 units anyway, and D3 of them get a Vanguard move up. And that puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, especially if you have them set up, you know, with characters and stuff to make them even nastier. So that is really good. Really, really good. Hard to put even like a point value on that when you're trying to figure out whether this guy's worth it or not. And then finally he gets to re-roll the comment to see whenever it comes in. And overall, he's not that many points. So when you're really looking at trying to get a Lore Master Heavens, he's going to be helping your other guys, trying to, you know, even not magic aside, just making your combat abilities better because you're getting across the board faster, this guy can definitely be worth it. I've heard other people say that you just always take him. I wouldn't say that. I mean, unless you are the type of person that, hey, I am going to be going just all crazy all the time. But definitely he should be a consideration given the points and, I mean, given your build as well. Then we have Tic-Tac-Toe. Okay, they made a brand new model for him again, hoping that they'd use him more, but he basically has the ambusher rule, passes it on to his Pterodon riders. He basically has all the rules of like a Pterodon rider, so nothing really crazy there. He does have this ancient blade that gives him +1 to hit, and yeah. Okay, no armor saves are allowed, and when fighting other models with the fly rule, then he's +1 to hit. So, oh boy, if you're trying to go after a phoenix with this guy. He has this fancy mask so that you'll be -1 hit, if somebody's shooting at these pterodons. Basically what it comes down to is this is a guy that's kind of like Snag the Gobspit in Orcs and Goblins. And why do you not see him in Orcs and Goblins? Because there's no reason to take this type of thing like, oh yay, I get ambusher type thing, because this unit that they're with are already so fast that the whole idea of getting to a flank isn't very needed. Pretty much the best thing you can be saying about this is that whereas normally you could be deployed, you'll probably be on a flank, they're probably going to shoot you, you might fail your leadership test, and he's leadership 7, which is pretty awesome, but you might fail your leadership and go off. The nice idea is that now guaranteed they can't reduce you, and wherever they place their small unit, let's say they have outriders or something, you are going to come in from the side, drop your rocks, and get these guys before they can do any wounds to you. But that's a lot of points to do that. I mean, it's just not worth it in the end. So when you're building this guy and for the tactical stuff it gives you, it just isn't worth it. The whole idea where you like ignore armor saves looks cool, but you should never be charging these guys in the combat anyway. So it's just, yeah, leave this guy at home. He looks cool, but yeah, not worth it. Then we have finally Yodel. This is the whole sniper chameleon guy, and okay. What he can do is he has a sniper rule, so that's good. He has it so that on a 5+ he can wound as opposed to the normal 6+ for his poison. And then he also has the multiple shots, so he gets 3 shots all the time. But for the most part, yeah, he's only getting that 5+ to wound, basically, only if you remain still. And it's one of these things where you never see him because he can make his points back, right? If you're starting to see these wizards where, you have these naked wizards in the back, in the bunker, he can go back there, he can be shooting these naked BSBs and mages, getting his points back. The reason why you don't see him is because in the corner cases where he can actually get his points back, they just kill him, right? They just turn it aside, they shoot the skinks, make panic. He is leadership 7 that helps, but in the long run, they just then change their deployment and their target priorities just to either get rid of these guys and score this. I mean, he's also a good amount of points, so it just doesn't pay off. So it's one of these ones, again, where sure, if you're trying to have fun or something, but overall, not worth it. So there you have it. There's all the special characters. I'm about to have some kids attack me, so I'm not cut off here. But basically, the best ones are Teko Iku. I can see Gorok, and I can also see Croak being used. So there you have it, and have fun playing. Bye.